Today marks one of the most revealing ruptures in the MAGA era. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation didn't just shock the movement, it detonated the myth of Trump's control over it. Her exit clarifies something Republicans have whispered for months. Trump is historically unpopular, politically diminished, and visibly slipping. That is why a figure like Zoran Mandani could waltz into the Oval Office, shower Trump with flattery, neutralize him instantly, and then walk out and publicly humiliate him without consequence. And instead of mounting a coherent response, the White House sent out Carolyn Leavitt, whose on-air implosion showed a communications team out of ideas and out of gas. The panic is real, and Greene's announcement only sharpened the truth. MAGA loyalists fear most. Trump no longer commands the movement he built. And I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons Big Pharma, Big Tech military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. What Marjorie Taylor Greene is signaling loudly is that Donald Trump has run out of people to intimidate. And the few he is still trying to bully simply aren't scared anymore. Yes, he set out to destroy her political career and shove her out of the party. And if that were his only metric, he might claim victory. But did he really win? Because Trump's attacks have actually rehabilitated her public image. Still deeply flawed, but suddenly more sympathetic, and she's going to weaponize that boost directly against him. Greene now has nothing but time and one target, Donald Trump. And she knows going after him generates the maximum noise, which is the oxygen she thrives on. Meanwhile, Trump's bizarre Oval Office encounter with Zoran Mandani only deepened the fractures in MAGA, leaving Carolyn Leavitt scrambling to defend the indefensible. But before we get to her meltdown, we need to look at the moment Trump effectively sold out his own movement and why MAGA is now spiraling into panic. Okay, how about you? Go ahead. You're a billionaire. You got a different address nowadays than you used to. You used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a mundane administration? Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely. What makes you comfortable? We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job and we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and have been very successful on. In the aftermath of that Oval Office meeting, MAGA completely lost its grip on reality. Laura Loomer was practically hyperventilating, demanding to know what Elise Stefanik is even supposed to campaign on now that the GOP can't attack Zoran's policies without contradicting Donald Trump himself. Another MAGA influencer fumed, "Disrespect communists." While Loomer doubled down, calling it wild that a so-called jihadist communist was allowed to stand behind the Resolute desk. The irony, of course, is that Trump wasn't just disarmed by Zoran Bamdani. He disarmed his entire movement. Their entire playbook was built on portraying Zoran's agenda as some sinister socialist plot to feed children, house people, and keep buses running on time. And then Trump went into the Oval Office and essentially co-signed all of it. No wonder MAGA is in meltdown mode. That left Carolyn Leavitt to march onto television and defend the indefensible, and she couldn't. She opened by insisting Trump hasn't changed his position on socialism, which is always the tell that the wheels have already fallen off. Well, look, I think today's meeting between the president and the mayor-elect was a good first step to introduce themselves to one another and to hopefully have a good working relationship moving forward. But again, it doesn't mean, Sean, that President Trump is ever going to change his values. And we know, and the president knows, and the American people know that ultimately President Trump's policies work and capitalism works. And if Carolyn Leavitt was sent out for one purpose tonight, damage control. And the reason her response instantly connects back to Marjorie Taylor Greene is simple: Leavitt wasn't defending Donald Trump's policies. She was defending Donald Trump from his own base. Instead of attacking Zoran Mandani, instead of declaring Trump ready to smite New York with hellfire, she had to reassure MAGA that Trump hasn't suddenly converted into a democratic socialist. Why? Because those questions are now being whispered inside the movement. No, Trump isn't about to have a Christmas Carol epiphany and embrace Medicare for all or climate action. But Zoran is genuinely charming, dangerously so for someone as approval-hungry as Trump. And he played Trump like a fiddle. That's what Levitt was scrambling to contain. Her meltdown wasn't about policy. It was the realization that the real enemy isn't the truth anymore. It's the collapse of MAGA itself. She's now tasked with holding together a coalition that is splintering in every direction, and she won't succeed. Watching her unravel as Trump grows weaker and Democrats keep racking up wins is becoming a nightly ritual. And nothing captures it better than her desperate spin about Trump's big, beautiful bill. A moment that showed just how far off the rails this movement has gone. If you look at the cost of everyday items, they are going down. And again, they will continue to because of President Trump's economic formula. And then, of course, tax cuts. That is President Trump's bread and butter issue, as one may say. Look at the one big beautiful bill. He already got that done within 6 months in office. And the American people, including in New York, especially in New York, are going to see the fruits of that labor next year when there is more money back in their pockets, when they are keeping more of their hard-earned paychecks to catch up on bills, and to pay for everyday life expenses. Carolyn Levitt was thrown on air tonight with an impossible assignment. Hold together a mega coalition that is fracturing, splintering, and detonating in real time. Then smile and pretend voters actually like Trump's budget, his policies, his agenda. The problem is obvious. New Yorkers didn't vote for Zoran Mandani because Trump made their lives more affordable. They voted for Mandani because he ran on dignity, real affordability, and making life livable. Everything Trump has failed to deliver. Yet, Levitt has to act like this collapse isn't happening. And yes, watching her attempt to spin this mess is going to be a spectacle. The kind that makes you want to pour a margarita and enjoy the implosion. But let's add a caveat to the Marjorie Taylor Greene parade. She didn't suddenly discover principle. This is not Adam Kinzinger taking a moral risk. Greene pivot only after realizing she wasn't getting the power she wanted. No Senate run, no governorship, not even a role in Trump's cabinet. Remember, this is the same Space Lasers congresswoman who complained in emails and texts that she wasn't included. Her rebellion isn't about healthcare or Epstein survivors. It's about her ego. As Jake Enclaus put it tonight, Greene's revolt is rooted in feelings, not courage. In the last couple weeks or so, she's become kind of an ally on some issues. What do you make of this? No, John, she hasn't. I just heard describe her. She's an outrage entrepreneur and she will seek out whatever the hot-button issue of the day is. And when I hear David Axelrod describe her as, quote, a formidable character in public life, to me, it says nothing about her and it says everything about the state of our public life. I keep seeing a certain strain of centrist Democrats. Some of them outright corporate Democrats rush to give Marjorie Taylor Greene credit she hasn't earned. And it's a bad habit. A few like AOC framed Greene's move as proof she finally realized we were always right. But that completely misses the point. Jake Enclaus got it right. Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't suddenly grow a conscience. She didn't have an ideological awakening, and she certainly didn't join our side. She's not part of this party and never will be. Her break with Trump isn't an act of courage. It's an act of self-interest. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The next one is even more controversial.